Totally different camera angle, I know. Hey guys, Taylor here. And for today's video, I figured that I would talk about something that I really haven't discussed that much about on this channel. If you guys haven't noticed already, most of the Autism Insight videos that I do are basically reflecting the negative aspects about having Autism and Aspergers Syndrome. In fact, I've noticed that most of the things that I talk about in the Insight videos were so negative that I barely covered anything positive about having Autism and Aspergers Syndrome. I think the main reason why it's taken me so long to make this video was because of the fact that I was so focused on the negative things as I did in my childhood when I was getting picked on 24 hours a day. For 85% of my entire life, the negative things about having Autism and Aspergers Syndrome was all I really knew about having Autism and Aspergers Syndrome. So this morning I decided to sit down and think about the things that help make having autism and help make having Asperger's syndrome such a wonderful thing. It's such an awesome thing. And I came up with some pretty good ideas and some pretty good things that I kind of wanted to share with you guys. So many people with autism and Asperger's and parents who have children who have autism and Asperger's syndrome hear a lot of negative things about them that I figured that it was time that I made a video discussing the positive things about it. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and start talking. One of the things that makes having autism and Asperger's syndrome such an awesome thing is the fact that most autistic people and most people with Asperger's syndrome are incredibly gifted. I can just right now imagine most of you guys going, well, everybody is gifted. That is true. Everybody is gifted in some way. However, what makes it so incredibly unique that autistic people and Aspies are so incredibly gifted is the fact that we can turn our gifts and use them against the critics and the doubters that we have in our lives. If you guys are really confused about what I'm saying right now, let's look at it this way. The critics and the doubters that most people with autism and most people with Asperger's have are like mosquitoes. And we take our gifts, which acts like a repellent, and we just go shh. You know, we just spray it all over the critics and the doubters, and the doubters and the critics go away most of the time. Many of you guys right now are probably going, how? How do you guys do that? Well, we prove it by showing it. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen the YouTube video of an autistic blind 10-year-old girl singing the national anthem at a basketball game. She just laughed in the face of all the people who have doubted her and all the people who have criticized her. There are people who have told her that she is so disabled that she would never do that. And she said, oh yes I can, and watch me. And she proved it by singing the national anthem at a basketball game while being disabled, autistic, and blind. Actions speak a whole lot louder than words, and I'm telling you guys the truth, there is nothing more than the satisfying and awesome feeling than proving a doubter wrong. When you have autism, then there are people saying you can't hit this goal, you can't hit this goal. There is nothing like proving them wrong and saying, oh yes I can, I just proved it. Oh yeah, I'm awesome. Another thing that's so great about having autism and Asperger's syndrome is the fact that we see almost every single thing in a different perspective, which can be so vitally valuable for a lot of things and for a lot of people. I know a lot of you guys probably think that we all see the world in the same type of view, but how you view something and your perspective of something is so much more different than our perspective when we look at something, someone, or somewhere. People with autism and Asperger's syndrome typically see something much more differently and interpret something differently than the perspective of any other normal human being. It's because in our brains work incredibly different because of our autism. I'm not necessarily trying to look at that as a bad thing. It's actually a pretty good thing that our brains are wired completely differently, because our opinion and our perspective on something can be very valuable to someone whose brain is wired incredibly normal, which makes it so incredibly awesome to have a viewpoint like that, which in turn makes our opinions a little bit more valuable because we're looking at it through a whole new different set of eyes and a whole different light and perspective. And honestly, that's pretty incredible that we can do that. Another thing about having autism and Aspergers syndrome, which makes it so incredibly amazing, is the fact that most people with autism and most people with Aspergers syndrome happen to be very, very intelligent. Right now, I just want to give a little secret to all the bullies that I've had, as well as the doubters and the critics that have criticized me. I just want to tell you guys a little secret, okay? I am not as dumb and as retarded as you think that I am. I'm actually more smarter than you think. I know. Mind-blowing. It shouldn't really be any surprise to any of you watching this right now, because we people with autism, even those who are nonverbal, are very, very smart. We know what we want to convey. We know what we want to say. We just don't exactly know how to say it. Because most of the critics and doubters out there look at autism and say that it is something wrong with our brains, which then interprets us as dumb because our brains work differently. People with autism and Aspergers syndrome are so incredibly intelligent. In fact, they're so intelligent they know a lot about autism just by experiencing it firsthand, which brings me up to the final and possibly the most important positive thing about having autism and Aspergers syndrome. And that, my friends, is the fact that you can use your own experiences to help educate the world about autism, which is exactly what I have been doing for the past year and a half, upcoming 2 years in January. I was always encouraged by my mom to write books about having autism to help educate the world about autism, like Dr. Temple Grandin has done. And then when the YouTube video idea came up, I'm like, this is absolutely perfect. I can help educate the world about autism on a whole different arena and a whole different format that can help people understand what I'm going through and what everybody else with autism and Aspergers syndrome is going through. And honestly, guys, it is one of the most rewarding things I think I have ever done. All the comments that I receive on a daily basis is just so incredibly enlightening and so incredibly wonderful. The fact that I have so far helped you guys understand your kids, your grandkids, even one of you help you understand your students a little bit better, that just makes having autism and educating the world about autism on this format, that makes it incredibly worth it. Realizing that I am helping people understand autism through my own experiences and through my own eyes makes having the oversensory meltdowns worth it. That makes having a whole different perspective worth it. That makes having self-conscious feelings about it all worth it. That makes every single negative thing about having autism absolutely worth it. Because I'm helping you guys understand what the world is like and what living is like for someone like me who has Asperger's or someone who has autism. Which, in my eyes, is absolutely nothing to feel ashamed about. I mean, I have been ashamed about having autism in the past to the point where I actually struggled with depression because of it. But now that I'm realizing that my own autism experiences are helping those understand us a little bit more, that's what helps me stay really confident about having autism, and that's what makes having autism absolutely nothing to be ashamed about. The only person who knows a lot about how autism affects me is only me. And the only people who know how autism or Aspergers syndrome affects people with autism or Aspergers syndrome is only those people. And with that own perspective, we can educate the world more about autism and make the world a more acceptable place and a more friendly place for people with autism. And that is something that I greatly take deep pride in and that I'm really humbled about. And I am so blessed and humbled that God gave me autism for that specific reason. And you know what? It's pretty cool to have Asperger's syndrome. It really is. It's actually a really big blessing that I actually have that. Well guys, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and give this video a big thumbs up if you guys liked it. Also in the comments below, let me know about some other things that you think is so incredibly amazing about having autism. And we're always spreading positive light around here, so no negative comments are allowed. I look forward to reading and replying to your responses below. And finally, as always, if you guys like my videos and want to see more videos from me in the future, go ahead and give this channel a subscribe. Well guys, that's it for now. Until next time, bye bye.